Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Ricada of Ricada Law. What is happening over here? Small law firm in central Minnesota. And I'm a disaster. So that's fine, though. Like blurry. Got my camera focus all off. Give me 1 second. Let me fix this camera. Should be better. Holy crap. Coming back from vacation is nutty. Vacation. I mean, work trip. I don't know what to call them anymore. I have no idea. But it was a good time. Back from Nashville, back home. I got back at 4:30 in the morning today, which is something. But that's the last trip I have for a minute. So that's nice. I thought I was going to have to skip Friday because Lady Raggets and I have an annual event that we do every year at the Minnesota Zoo. It happens to be on Friday, but this year we're not going. So we have some other stuff going on. So the good news about that, I'm actually kind of bummed about it, but we've been gone a lot. We have a lot to do around the house. The good news about it, though, is there will be a show every day this week, starting today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Obviously, we'll kind of get back in the swing of things, and yeah, get back into this trial schedule with. I don't think I have any more trips this year. I might have one. Maybe in December, but that's a huge maybe. Don't know. Right now, the only thing that I know of that's even away from my house is the comedy show I'm doing with Chrissy Mayer on the 21st, but I think that's a Saturday. Is that a Saturday? Where is this? Let's see. Saturday, October 21st. Yes. So that shouldn't have too much of an issue. So that's good. But anyway, thank you for bearing with me. Look, the Nashville show was fantastic. We're going to talk about that later in the show over on Rumble. And I will play a little bit of the video. The video is going to go up on Locals probably tomorrow. It'll be for local supporters only, but you can watch the full performance. We're going to play just the intro because I need you guys to understand what the hell is this poor bar, the Third and Lindsley bar in Nashville. Big shout out to them for somehow not kicking us out immediately. It was great. So we've got that going on. It'll be fun. But we'll play a preview of that when we kick over to Rumble, and yeah, we'll go from there. Other than that, tonight we've got some news, I guess. Is it news? Probably. Drama everywhere. Not like YouTube drama, although there's some of that. And I do want to talk a little bit about YouTube drama. Like Bronca and Nate, there's some drama going there, which is funny to me. And then have you guys heard about what's going on with Shadiversity? Like, and Scalia Gladiatoria or whatever. Look. If you thought like Drama and LawTube and Comicsgate and all these places was super gay, I'm going to have to find it. Long story short, Shadiversity, who's hilarious and great, and ultra conservative, Sword Boy, he got denounced by Scalia Gladiatoria or whatever. I don't know who most of these people are, which is fine because Shad is like a bigoted or racist or something horrible, I'm sure. Look, he's like Australian or New Zealander or something. I don't know. So I automatically don't, think that he can possibly be good, but he's a good boy. But he comes by this guy. And then there's this other guy, Metatron, I think. I don't know any of these people, like, to be very clear, other than Shad. Um, there's this guy, Metatron, and he writes this fucking book on Twitter about how he stands by Shad, which was cool. But it's the single gayest thing I've read. And I was like, what is this? Like, who talks like this? And I guess sword tubers do. Like, I guess that's the answer. Like, he seems cool. Don't get me wrong. But I'm reading it and I'm like, is this real? Like, is this a real thing? Like, this isn't a gimmick. That like this post is serious. We'll read it. It's funny. I mean, it was a nice sentiment. It's just the way he wrote it. So it's good. But we're gonna be talking about Russell Brand, Tim Ballard of Operation Underground Rescue, Lauren Boobert, who had the audacity to go on a date and get handsy, which is actually everybody's focusing on Lauren Boebert, like being flirty and like rubbing this guy's pants and him grabbing her boobs or something. They're like, children are present. Motherfucker, she's sitting there during a live production that people pay hundreds of dollars to go see, like taking selfies with a flash. She should be flogged in the fucking street for that. Everything else to me is irrelevant. Like, I don't care if she's sitting there. Like, I don't care what they're doing. As long as they're not bothering everybody around them, that's fine. She vaped. Now, she did vape though. She blasted that vape right into the seats in front of her, which is funny. But that would be kind of irritating. But I mean, it was the flashes with the fucking selfies that got me. I was like, this is, if you did that near me, I mean, I would call up Shad and I would have him woman shame you right there. But yeah, so we got to talk about that. There's also that Democrat politician who apparently has a chatterbait. And I think that'll be interesting. We got to discuss that a little bit, kind of in the context of all this, because it's the difference between like Lauren Boebert and this other politician, and the two sides just having such a vastly different worldview on the idea of sex, sexuality, and what all that means. And look, I don't have a principled stance on it because I think communities make their own standards for their politicians. So it's what you do. But I do think it's interesting because there's two sides of a coin. Like, there's the ultra conservatism where it's like, well, you got people texting nudes to each other all day. Like, is it really that big a deal? But then you have like the ultra progressivism where it's like, no, everything's fine at all. Like, there shouldn't be any standards. And I don't know where that tug of war ends, but I think most people end up somewhere in the middle. And I think there are different degrees, obviously, between Lauren Boebert and the OnlyFans chick or Chatterbait chick or whatever. But it does demonstrate this different worldview, right? So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. The U.S. lost a jet, like an F-35. I mean, those things cost what, like $70 million, something like that. This guy's like, oh, let me eject. And then the jet's just like, peace, I'm out. Hey, what's up, Kyle? How you doing, man? Boy, Kyle in the house. Dude, we gotta hang out sometime. You know any protests? Just kidding. Oh my God, they think that joke's too soon. Don't answer that, Kyle. Anyway, the jet thing was hilarious to me, mostly because they posted a "Have you seen my fucking dog" picture, a tweet. Like the people go around with the posters like lost cat, it's Calico. They're like, lost fighter jet. It's stealth. It's it's like $60 million or whatever. It's kind of gray. It's missing like a pilot. There's not one of those on it. So lost out a little while back. Need to get him safe home to the vet. And it's insane that this is the thing. They're like, please call this number. The military is asking people to phone it in. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about Nashville, I mentioned. And in the context of Nashville, not really, but since it was related to Nashville, do you guys remember that Oliver Anthony guy who sang that song? And conservatives were like, Jesus Christ has returned again, and this time with the guitar. And they always do this. They're always like, the greatest musician of all time, Oliver Anthony. And then he's like, well, I'm kind of like not conservative or progressive. I'm kind of what you would call one of those people who wants to maximize income. It's hilarious. And then he gets all huffy about ticket prices. He's like, dude, okay. I don't know. The ticket prices, what were they? A couple $100? Like, he's like the hottest act in town. And he, I don't know. People just don't get economics. But whatever. We got to talk about that. Oh my gosh. I'm burping. I haven't even started drinking yet. Speaking of, we got some great whiskeys down in Nashville. So many people, so generous. I'm going to open one tonight. This new Riff single barrel whiskey, which we're going to try that out. Thank you to everybody. I can't remember who all gave me all of the whiskeys. I remember a couple people specifically, but thank you so much for them. They're very much appreciated. And it's going to be a good time imbibing them. They were $90. That's it. Oh my God. Just nothing. I mean, it's not nothing. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to minimize the fact that not everybody can afford a $90 show, but this dude comes out, his song's a huge fucking hit all over the internet. And like, he's everywhere, all over the news. A $90 ticket is cheap. He's like, gotta be $25. It's like, what? Where are you going to play for $25? Am I really as raunchy as Kurt says? Yes. Probably raunchier. But yeah, so that's just it's a weird thing, man. Like, don't get me, I feel bad charging what I charge for live shows. But all I'm trying, I don't make any money on them. I just pay the venue. Like, that's literally it. But you know, that's fine. But I'm just a little weirdo with like a very curated community, or not curated, but like a nice, tight knit, small community that's cool, that I love very much. But this guy's like a viral sensation, like Fauci was, or whatever. So we got to talk about that, and then yeah, we'll get into the Nashville live show. I cannot believe they let us finish. I cannot believe they let us finish the live show. I can't believe they let us start the live show. And I'll show you. I'll show you the beginning of it, which is a big thanks to Camelot. But so many great people were there. We had a good time. There's no drama at the live shows. It's literally just like fun. Everybody's drinking and having a blast. Bronco was there, Dick Masterson, Camelot, Cecil, and Drexel all joined me on stage. Doug TeNapel was out in the audience. So was Kurt on Civil Law. And Valhalla Awaits was out in the audience as well. And I think that was it for YouTubers. Maybe. There could have been some others. If I'm forgetting you, I apologize. But we had a blast. Telling jokes, smiling with people. And that's honestly, like, that's fellowship and community that we miss. That's what the internet misses of all this stuff. That is what the internet is missing. So I love the live shows. I want to do more of them. I don't know when I'll get around to that, because they take a huge toll on the show, because it's an endeavor to go do them, which it's a fun endeavor. Don't get me wrong, but it makes it really hard to stream while on the road. because when you're me and you go to meet people that you don't get to see, which means when you have an 11 p.m. show, normally that 11 p.m. show isn't really going to happen because you're out at night. But anyway, so it's going to be a while before the next show. Whenever we get around to it. I didn't take my time with this. Hold on just a second. Little harsh. Fire to it. Lots of fire. Whew, that is not smooth whiskey. It's good. It's not smooth. That is 57% alcohol. A lot of burn to it. Also, one last thing. Camelot. Camelot is back on Instagram, at least. So he was banned from Twitter and banned from Twitter again and banned from Instagram. He's back on Twitter. The cancellation shit's going into overdrive. Guys, it's election season coming up. So, you know, be prepared. Be prepared with all that. All right. We're going to hit a couple chats that have come in, and then we're going to get into these topics. So, go for Big Guy 911 says, just bought my tickets for the comedy show. Don't suck, nose. You know I'm going to bomb. Like, you know this, right? I have no idea how to do stand-up. I'm just going to go and stand up there and say stuff. Like, I'm going to try and prep for the show and prep some jokes. You know they're going to be really fucking bad. So get your hopes down. Hey, what's up? Good Logic and the Raiders. Welcome. I got to talk to my man Joe. It's been too long. I know he had a busy week too. Violent says, oh my God, you're going to try and do comedy? No. Listen. Chrissy is coming to do a stand-up comedy show in Minnesota. She called me in or messaged me or something and said, hey, it would be silly if I come to Minnesota and you're not like involved in the show. Do you want to do something? And I said, yeah. You know, the guy who comes out and really sucks at telling jokes and then introduces everybody. I want to do that. Like, I want to be that guy. So I'm planning to bomb. Make no mistake. That's the expectation everybody should have. Which is how you know I'm not Jewish. Finally, we'll finally prove it because I'm going to bomb like a Palestinian child. All right. But yeah, we'll do that. That's October 21st. This is why we'll get kicked out of whatever. Like, I cannot believe they let us finish the show. And again, big hats off to Third and Lindsley Bar. I don't think they had any idea what they were getting into. They're like, so what kind of act is this? I'm like, I don't know. Me and some guys sit around, talk, and tell stories and jokes poorly. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. All right. Speedy the Unsilent says, sup, Nick? I had to miss your show because I had stuff to take care of so I can close next month on my new house, 2,300 square feet. Hope the show was great. I had a good time. I was I was a complete wreck going into the show. Honestly, had just felt weird, had stage jitters. It was a little strange because normally I get a little nervous going in front of people live. Like, it's way different on the camera than it is in person, right? Because they can they can throw shit at you or whatever. And so for whatever reason, I was just like as a wreck all day, and got through the show, and it was good. It was very good. Everybody was very complimentary and welcoming, and it was awesome. So it was a fun time. But yeah, congrats on the house. 23. Is that your first house or just a new house? Either way, nice house. Sounds great, and I hope it works out really well for you. Hope it's what you're looking for. Ryan Acorn says, do Thailand for the next show. It's overall cheaper than Vegas. Bangkok got the vibe, and we can all see Legal Vices and the Law Racks who can hop over from good Korea. I don't know that we'd have very much of a turnout in Thailand, but it would be an important turnout. The turnout would be a bunch of penises. Matthew Self. Hey, what's up? Huge chat from Matthew says, I know we all give you shit for being flaky on your announcements to make a stream happen. Understand the family and the kids make it difficult at times to uphold a road schedule. Probably just don't make a post unless you're committed to fulfilling it. Gay love. I really was. I really was. Lady Rackets got some new ink done in Chicago yesterday. And I thought it was going to be a much shorter appointment than it was. And it ended up being a 6-hour job. So hats off to her, because I wasn't getting a tattoo and I wanted to die being in there for 6 hours. She was. So, but it's cool. It's a great tattoo, and really happy with it. But man, it took forever. So we thought we would be back considerably earlier. Big D says, wish all of us Canadians well tomorrow for our million-man march against gender ideology being taught in schools. Was it million men, or like kind of like, is it? Good luck with that. I do wish you well. I would not want to be in Canada at all, but hopefully you have a good turnout, and I don't think it's going to help you though. I don't think you're going to, you're still in Canada. You can have a trillion men march. They're not going to care. But all right. With that, let's get into these stories. By the way, we are fully live on Rumble as well. You can watch the whole show over there. If you're not familiar, about an hour into the show, we switched to Rumble exclusively from YouTube. So just kind of be prepared for that. We'll make that transition harder than a Canadian. But yeah, that happens for the show right now. I'm hoping that at the end of January of next year, that ends one way or another, because I think the switch has been very good for getting people to Rumble, but I'm getting really, really tired of forcing the switch an hour through. I get a lot of complaints from it. I would prefer to just stream on one platform. Like, that would be my ideal. And I would love it if it was, just Rumble. That would be great. I would prefer to do all streams on Rumble and upload videos to YouTube or something like that. However that pans out. But for now, this is the way it goes. So just keeping people kind of updated on why we do that. Okay. Derek Alexander says, you were in Chicago and didn't hit me up. Shame. Oh, dude. I didn't know. We didn't know where. So the tattoo artists we met at a convention, and so we didn't know anything about the shop or the area, and so I didn't want to leave Lady Rackets alone and tattoo shop in a strange place, right? So because I was like, oh, who can I call? And I thought that would be fun, but also once we were done, it was like bolt straight in the car, straight back home. This is a fucking disaster. Okay, let's get into this. Chaotic Frost says, to be fair, you're only switching for the YouTube audience. The Rumble audience never feels a switch. No, I know. And also, though, it makes it particularly more difficult to stream on the road, though. Like, that's the thing. Managing 2 streams on a computer is easy, but when you get on the road, when you have less screen real estate, or you're on a phone, that becomes more and more challenging. And I hate that it does. It's annoying that it does. So anyway, that's a ways off. We'll figure out what that is. Not worried about it right now. Let's get into this. So where do we start? Do we start with Russell Brand? That's the hot topic right now. Russell Brand. Russell Brand has had his YouTube channel demonetized over allegations that are aged. I think the main thing we got to do is look at the allegations, right? We got to look at the allegations in this thing. Where is it? Hold on, I've got this pulled up. Giggity. I just have to find out where the fuck I have it pulled up and send it to myself so I can pull it up on the computer. I have not read the full thing because, the other issue with getting back home is trying to get back into everything fucking working. Here we go. I'll pull it up right now. Let me say straight out the gate. I have no idea, right? Like none of us do. But this ability to condemn someone for an act from a decade or more ago that's unverifiable in any way other than taking someone's word for it, be fucking wary, ladies and gentlemen. Be wary because how do you do it? How do you argue? No, it wasn't me. I know a bunch of guys say, well, I'll just stay away from women, don't talk to them or whatever. If they know your name, well, he was out. Do you have a log of every time you weren't around women? Do you have a record to prove you weren't with someone, some bar? Trump, right? Never met E. Jean Carroll. Kind of ugly. Would have remembered because gross. Nope, she was there. Is there proof? Is there video? Is there photo? Is there witness? No. She just says he did it, right? So I know it's really simple to just say, well, that's what you get. You're hanging around women. You can't do that anymore. Guys got to be more careful. There's a level of careful you can be, and it's not ever going to be enough. It's not ever going to be enough. So the best you can do is insulate yourself as well as possible. But that being said, what do you do? But on the other hand, now we're going to go through each of the allegations. I've got this New York Post live update article. We'll go through the main allegations and kind of see what's going on. But, from what I've read of the allegations, they're troubling. Not in the way you might think, right? They're difficult things because they straddle the lines of legality. They straddle the lines of acceptability. I mean, allegedly, he's in a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old. And normally we all go, that's fucking gross. Like, because he's 31, right? We're like say that around most people and you're hearing pedo, right? But I haven't seen a denial of being in the relationship with a 16-year-old and a sexual relationship with her. What people are going to is it was legal, which, okay, right? I get it. But some people have a problem with that. So yeah, and again, yes, I get that the age of consent is 16 in the UK. I get it. Man, that's a tough one. Is that something that you approve of? Like these are questions, legit questions. Is that something you're okay with? Because if you say, and look, if you say the age of consent is 16, like, all right, then all right. That's a reasonable take. But I don't know if it's the most consistent conservative American politics take. And that I think that's what's kind of rankling on me lately, because I know Russell Brand has like become a voice for freedom, which I appreciate very much. And he's on Rumble and all of that stuff. By the way, he was demonetized on YouTube. So if you like him, go support him on Rumble. But that's the question, right? And it's not an easy answer. It's not an easy answer because if you go, okay, well, the age of consent is 16, so it's fine. Well, then you look at other places where the age of consent is like 14. Is that fine? 12, Muhammad age, like 6, bring me a child bride, bring her to me, bring Duplos, like what is the age of consent the sole deciding factor? I think this is a tough one for people to deal with. And I don't know the answer. I know the answer for me, right? Lady Rackets is the answer for me. When I met her, she was 18. We got married. She was 20, I think. Yeah. She turned 19 shortly after we met, and we got married when she was 20. I was 22. And so, it wasn't ever an issue I had to deal with. Other people do. But for me, Lady Rackets is the answer. And heaven forbid anything ever happened there, but I wouldn't talk to anybody under fucking 30 at all. Like I would never talk to, like I don't talk to people under 30 now. How old are you? 26? Deuces. I'm out of here. Like, fuck this. But yeah, so it's a tough question though. Cause I'm not dating or looking for hookups or anything like that. I'm not trying to have sex with anybody. But some of y'all are. And so that's a interesting thing. There are places in the US where the age of consent is 16, 17 years old. So what do you do with that? But the age of consent, like the legal answer can't be the only answer. It can be the answer that which we gauge punishment. And we can look at societies with an unreasonably low, in my opinion, age of consent, like 12, 14 years old. You can say, well, like maybe y'all should fix that. Like maybe you should fix that thing to me. But that's just like my opinion, man. And we don't get to exercise those opinions most of the time. So, the question becomes, what do we judge? The criminal activity. You can make personal judgments later. And to me, one of the key things that we have to kind of look at is if the law is reasonable, and 16 is the age of consent all over, like it's not like just the UK, right? Like I said, there are US states with a 16-year age of consent, I believe, or at least they had one until very recently. I think Virginia did, some other states. But if that's the thing, then what we have to do is go, okay, well, can we punish them for that legally? And then socially, should we exercise some sort of ostracism or punishment? That's up to you. I'm not a big fan of 31-year-old having sex with a 16-year-old. I'm not a big fan of it. Do I think Russell Brand is a monster who deserves to be beaten in the public square? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know him that well. I'd talk to him though, trying to figure out what's going on. That was a while back, right? So who knows what he thinks now? But this idea that someone who saw stardom come pretty quick is kind of on the edge. I don't think we should be surprised by stuff like this. Right? So, on one hand, everything is about societal hypocrisy, right? But on the other hand, it's not always the hypocrisy that's the issue. And those are things we have to figure out. There aren't easy answers to these questions. There aren't. But that being said, let's take a look at what we've got for the allegations. To me, I think that was the most concerning one because there's something else. There's something else with him. I think removing a condom during sex without consent. Was that it? Or was just refusing to wear a condom? That's a little fuzzy, maybe. Maybe it's not fuzzy for anybody else. That's fuzzy for me because I've kind of seen conflicting things. Under most American state statutes, maybe all of them, if you remove a condom during sexual intercourse without consent, it is classified as a forcible rape. It is chargeable, convictable as a forcible rape. So that's a problem. But I believe if I read right from Andrea Burkhart, who is awesome, and I tend to trust her research on issues, I believe she said it's outside the statute of limitations. But he has been demonetized on YouTube. Now, of course, the interesting thing is like, well, why though? Like someone accused him of something, but is he guilty? Is he at risk? Is he somehow putting people in danger? I don't think so. So that's a weird one to me. There's a bunch of people who rise on the list of people who are dangerous to children, and there are many of them above Russell Brand. I'm not going to name names because that's, weird, but Vouch or whatever. Okay, so here's all these different stories that they have. This one is weird. All right. This is 3 hours ago. Here's the thing. And this is how this works. If you don't know the nature of allegation culture on social media, okay? Here's how allegation culture works. Nobody says anything ever. Ever. Here's the recipe. Someone decides to say something at some point. True or false. Someone says something, doesn't matter if it's real or not. And then all of a sudden, a bandwagon event happens. And all of these other claims pop up. This even happened with Lizzo, right? Like, this is not partisan. This is the bandwagon claims. Oh, yeah. You know what? Come to think of it, that motherfucker, ... right? And so here we've got this most recent one. I was reading this and I was like, well, like, one, he is a comedian. And two, I'm going to chalk this one up to satire more than anything because it is kind of weird. Like, not what he says being weird, but what's going on is kind of weird. So Russell Brand suggested a 15-year-old should have sex-themed birthday party years before allegations. All right, but here's why. He suggested a 15-year-old should have a sex-themed birthday party more than a decade before being accused of rape and sexual assault in a resurfaced 2007 clip from his BBC radio show, The Russell Brand Show. Now, mind you, he said this publicly on air. No one thought it was a problem because, frankly, it wasn't a problem. And I'll say it now. This isn't a problem. This is social commentary is what he's doing. The comedian gave inappropriate advice to a teenage caller who needed a theme for her 16th birthday. He says, I suppose you're 16. You can't really drink booze yet or any drugs because that's illegal, Brand said per Channel 4 dispatchers. Now, you will be legally allowed to have sexual partners. I think you should theme a party around legal sex. That's a joke. Right? Like, because when you're 21, you have your drinking party or whatever. When you're 18, you have your voting party. I don't think that's true. But you do, like, there's this idea that there are these milestones, and 16's kind of a weird one. To me, I chalk this up as kind of a lighthearted ribbing of social commentary, but maybe not. Maybe it's disgusting. He's like, no, you should do it and invite me. Like, that didn't really follow. So, but he's like, well, you can't do a drinking party, so I guess do this. This is not to me, this is like a nothing burger, but it's one of those things that are like, now this comment makes so much sense. All right. Who knows? Who knows? But this is not the... He also suggested the team have a vampire-themed gathering to heighten the mood of danger. Ooh. Okay. Weird. It's content removed from streaming services. Yeah. says Andrew Sachs, his granddaughter who dated him. Yeah, his they've removed his YouTube earnings. This is cancel culture. And I mean, it is. Of course it is. Cancel culture. They've taken monetization away from someone who's just been accused. Some people may argue credibly. I'm not so sure they're credible accusations, frankly. But okay, he's not convicted. There's nothing current. Like, it doesn't seem like he's a danger. Maybe he is. I don't know him. But yeah, removing the... Oh, God. I don't want to see most of these pictures. But yeah, removing his YouTube income, of course, is certainly part of cancel culture. That is a thing. And they have way worse people who are monetized on YouTube. Way worse people. But hey, here we go. Brand hunted me down and followed me home, demanding sex after I met him at a bar. All right, let's take a look at this one. A former model says Russell Brand stalked her through the streets, demanding sex after she left a bar where she met the actor-comedian in 2005. He was dead set on his goal. The woman, who was in her 20s at the time, told The Sun his intention was to have sex with someone, anyone, which is why he stalked me. She said she was so terrified as Brand walked 5 paces behind her saying, "Let's just fuck right here," that she started running towards her home. You can't run. Have none of you been around dogs? You cannot run. They smell your fear. The pursuit sets them off. Let's fuck right now. Doesn't that happen every day in England? Isn't that just how they do it? I thought that's how the British mated, honestly, was they all go to the pub or whatever and watch a soccer game. Manchester United wins. All the women get a 5-second head start, and all the dudes in red jerseys just Viva Man U! And then they just jump on them and hump like rabbits. Like that's consensual right there. The woman described the get him to the Greek star as like the Terminator. You can't get rid of him. Bitch, throw him in a vat of molten steel. It's not that hard. He just melts. You can get rid of Terminators. It's happened in every movie. Oh my God. The word predator is absolutely spot on. Then why didn't you pick Predator? Why'd you pick Terminator? Predators seem harder to kill at the end of the day. Fargon Icehole says, "Live with me if you want to come." No, Fargon, this is serious. The woman had met Brand that night at a bar in London restaurant frequented by A-listers. It was quite a buzzy place back then. There were a lot of celebs and people would be getting up to all sorts. Oh, wouldn't they? Everyone knew who he was. She told The Sun he was a bit lewd, but that was his thing at the time. It was part of his act. As she talks about him saying, "Let's just fuck right." He's a bit lewd. It's just part of the act. But then she's terrified. Look, this is so tough in general because all of this stuff is stripped of time, place, context. We have no idea if he talked to this girl. We have no idea what she was doing. I'm not going to say it was the skirt, right? Like, well, shouldn't have worn that. Like, I'm not going to go there. But we don't know. And it's like, so never, like, you didn't tell anybody. But he was lewd, it's part of the act. And then he does a lewd thing. Is that part of the act or is it serious? What made it serious to you? Why did this change? Did it just change because now you got a chance for your story to come out? I'd made it clear I wasn't interested, but he'd been on my tail all night. Okay. Different context, but have any of you ever met a woman? Ever? Anybody? Has anybody out there met one? I know Matt Walsh hasn't. He doesn't know what they are, but like I've met a few in my life. And look, ladies of the chat. And again, I'm decontextualized from Russell Brand. No Russell Brand, no sex. We're not talking Russell Brand or sex here. We're just talking in general. I don't know, getting coffee. All right? You bitches ain't clear when you think you're clear. All right? When you say, I'm hungry, and that means I'm supposed to go and buy the exact meal that you want and bring it back to you right now, is not clear. Like, that's not a thing. If you want to know what a woman is, just put her on the vague matrix. It's just a timeline of penis to vagina. The deeper the vagina, the much more vague everything gets. I guess, maybe, I don't know. Is this the line? Is that how this works? Is it a ray or a vector? I'm not a math. But honestly, like, women think they're clear all the time. They fucking never are. And like, that's part of the charm, right? That's why I was gonna make a Robin Williams joke, but he didn't hang around, so never mind. No, but like, I love this. Women always say, well, I was clear. It's like, were you fucking clear? Like, how clear were you? Was it like, no? And then you walked away. Like, what was clear? Did you write a fucking sign that said, Russell Brand, no, you can't fuck me, and I really mean it this time? Like, what was your version of clear? I don't know what that means. I was clear. Everyone knows that this isn't true. Like, everyone knows that she is not actually clear in this situation. I don't know. She might have been clear enough, but she wasn't clear. Because women they're not clear. They're not clear and explicit their entire lives. And ladies, this is not an attack. I love you all. You're fantastic. This is not an attack. But women's entire existence, when they go anywhere above like a 2, is to be vague, because someone will do more than what you wanted them to do because they're trying to have sex with you. Like, that's just, look, God made it that way. It's not my fault. And you know this is real. Like, you know, it's like, my hands are kind of small. And some guy's going to walk up, he's like, here's $100,000 ring, and just put it on there and be like, get it, queen, and walk away. And all she wanted was a glove, but she got $100,000 ring. Like, this is women's life. And it's fantastic that you have figured men out this way. By all means, do it constantly. Who was it? It's either Jeff Foxworthy or Bill Engvall. I think it was Jeff Foxworthy. He realized when his wife had learned to control his mind. And he and his wife were sitting in bed. They're each reading books. Gay. They're sitting in bed reading books next to each other. And she goes, I'm warm. And without thinking, he closed his book, set it down, got out of bed, went over, turned on the ceiling fan, got back in bed, put the sheets on, and went, oh my God. Like, that's when he realized that she had figured him out and could mind control him. And any husband knows this. Every husband knows this move. I'm thirsty. Like, hold on. Let me just go to the store and buy every drink on the shelf and bring back all of them, and you can pick one. Because, I mean, I wouldn't want you to make a decision before I leave. Like, it's just how guys do this. So I don't buy this I was clear bullshit. I doubt it. So anyway, Brand was hosting the UK show Big Brother's Big Mouth at the time. You know, I mean, in the age In the age of sibling porn, like, can we not call stuff Big Brothers Big Mouth? Can we just 5 seconds of thought? Like, what should we call the show? Big Brothers Big Mouth. Next choice. Any other choice than that, please? No, not that one. His accuser, now in her 40s, says she plans to report the ordeal to the police. It's 20 fucking years later. She plans to she'll get around to it after she does a fucking interview with a journalist somewhere. Like, this is the problem with these whole thing, with everything, right? Yeah, I plan to report it to the authorities. What, after hair and nails? Like, you got your petty. What else are you going to do? You got to get the dog groomed? Like, the fuck? What are you doing? Why is it 20 fucking years? 20 years. If this was a thing, it should have been a thing 20 years ago. But and this is what's infuriating about this as a lawyer, right? Like, so we have statutes of limitations, and on some of them are removed, right? For murder, you remove a statute of limitations. First degree murder has no statute of limitations in the U.S. that I'm aware of. I don't think there's a state, but if there is one, it's like 30 years, but I think they're all removed now. And a lot of them have been removing sexual assault, especially sexual assault of children. Now, there's some sense in removing the sexual assault of children one, because children don't all have agency until they're 18. So maybe a statute of limitations that starts when the child reaches the age of majority is not the worst plan, but they all run into the same complicating factor from a very fucking practical stance. 20 years ago, who was at that party on that night with that woman, and who saw any of this? And how the fuck do they remember it 20 years later? Unless they read an article and remember details that they wouldn't have remembered a month ago, right? Oh yeah, he did this. Was it actually him? Because if we go back to Vic, all roads lead back to Vic. He's like Rome, gay, and all roads lead to him. Just kidding. Love that man. Oh, that's gay. But it all goes back to Vic. And remember that the original Vic Firestorm accuser was this Han Leia chick. And she was actually talking about Ilich Guardiola, a completely different person. But Han Leia has a head injury. Mixed him up. And then the Woodwork smear campaign starts. And then everything's true. And it doesn't matter that the original thing wasn't true at all. Because, well, all of the other stuff, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's this. Oh, this many allegations. It's always the same. Bam, like clockwork. Same fucking thing. Sunshine Rain says, Nick, if your ass is violated by Bubba, you're going to remember 30 years later. Actually, Sunshine Rain, that's weirdly less true than people think it is. But more importantly, her ass wasn't violated by Russell Brand or anybody else. She just remembers something. Now, here's a weird stats, a weird sort of incidents. Most people think that trauma cements memory. They think that trauma cements memory. And in some ways, it might be true. And in other ways, it isn't. The weird thing is that when there's a trauma, particularly a shared trauma, and they did this with a 10-year study of 9/11 people, they asked them, where they were, what they were doing, at year 1, year 5, and year 10. They found out that even though these people were like heightened of trauma, like at the epicenter of the planes crashing, in the buildings, escaping, all that stuff, had lost family, friends. Over 10 years, their answers changed dramatically, not even fucking close to their original stories. Now, why? like these very traumatic events, they're hearing stuff about them and their mind incorporates other experiences into it. Your memory is very fucking unreliable. Very unreliable. Like I can tell you the story of me on 9/11. I was flying a plane that day. No, I can tell you the story and I think I've got it right. I'm pretty sure I have it right. It's funny to me. It wasn't super traumatic. 9/11 was, oh, fuck. 9/11 wasn't the funny thing. My dad's reaction to it was. So, like, to me, that sticks in my head, but I don't actually know, right? I'm the only person there. I don't remember the timeline. And I remember there was this weird time briefly where my brain told me I was at home when I was at college. I was in my dorm room. My dad called me and woke me up. But there's this brief time where I could visually remember being called into my parents' room on 9/11 to watch a TV. I remember my dad like coming out of the bathroom into the room and talking about it. But that didn't happen. I know that didn't happen. I was at school. But for a time, like I was very confused. I was like, why does my brain remember this thing? That was probably someone else's story and my brain figuring in how that worked out. Our brains do this a lot. And so you say, oh yeah, if someone violated your ass 30 years ago, you're going to remember it. You might. You might. You might also get details wrong. Maybe not the whole person, maybe whatever. But the weird thing is your brain can combine traumatic nights and traumatic experiences. It categorizes them and files them away under similar things. If you got stalked one night and raped another night, you might switch those people up or you might transplant one over the other. And this has happened quite a bit, actually. And people have been both convicted and acquitted based on the unreliability of people's memories because they get sexually assaulted and it is traumatic and they might actually block it out. But then they read about sexual assaults or hear about them from friends and they start incorporating those details and they'll start remembering certain smells that they couldn't that wouldn't have existed in the time or foods or people that weren't there. One of the one of the accusers of the fucking Supreme Court Justice, Brett Kavanaugh, right? No one could corroborate that story. No one at all. Went and talked to all the people. That didn't happen. What the fuck are you talking about? Maybe it was someone else. No one could even confirm she was at that party. Because maybe it wasn't. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she heard the story. But anyway, so I don't know. This one's whatever. BBC's launching a review of him. Megyn Kelly weighs in and says, I'm sorry, this is extremely detailed. Look, this is the toughest shit about these. It doesn't matter how detailed these are because the details don't mean it's true. I can tell you a really detailed recollection of the time that Russell Brand tried to give me a hand job at Dick's Sporting Goods in Burnsville, Minnesota. We're in the tennis section because he likes those shorts, right? Tennis shorts are pretty cool. They're kind of short, very breezy. Russell said, I like the way my berries jingle in this thing. And he also loves grabbing a shaft of tennis rackets. He told me 4 or 5 times. And he would do that lewd thing where he'd put the tennis racket like between his legs a little bit and kind of jerk off the racket handle because it was funny. He's British. Like their humor's a little different, but he thought it was hilarious. And I laughed along because we're at Dick's Sporting Goods. It's like, oh my God, Russ, stop it. Stop it, Russ. He had the long hair. It was a little sweaty though. It was a little sweaty. It was hot out. Like those details that doesn't make it real. Just being detailed isn't a thing that makes it real. And that is the misnomer. There's no one to check the fucking details. There's no one to say, actually, no. Dick's Sporting Goods had banned tennis rackets at that time after one of the tennis rackets raped a seal at SeaWorld. There's no one to do that. So of course they get detailed. They often get very detailed. We'll go to Vic again, right? One of the accusations against Vic was a manner of what we call cuckscent. Vic is allegedly sitting next to a cosplayer at a show, puts his hand on her thigh or something, and someone else says that she was wildly uncomfortable by this. And, she was paralyzed with fear and she didn't say anything, but she told all of us later, she told us all about it, how blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, she's smiling. Like, no one thinks that this woman is but she was the whole time being assaulted. It's like they add and embellish. You know why? Because they get interviews, they get press releases, their tweets get boosted. Those details sell books, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's trying to sell a book, but you would be shocked what a news report about someone who is otherwise unnotable will mean to them, especially if they're really feeling absent or overlooked or whatever. You get a news story written up about you. You don't have to give your name. People get this wrong. Clout is not always about what you can reap from the clout. The attention isn't always about having a focus of attention on you that you can exploit. It's about having someone acknowledge you're there. That's the attention. Now, look, if you're famous, if you're a social media person, whatever, that grift, that always should be suspect. But for people who aren't, we talked about this on the show. Who was I talking with? We were talking about this woman who I can't remember. She wrote some book and she got called out on it for being on. Oh, it's the fucking the Murdaugh County clerk, right? Who wrote the book, and now she's being accused of witness tampering and intimidation. The Murdaugh County clerk of court, she talked about like the, going in to do this documentary and stuff like that, and the spread of food and the car service. If you're not used to those things and suddenly you're getting them, oh man, you sell your story to a publication, you get $5,000. They fly you out for an in-person interview that's recorded. They put you up in a hotel. They take you in a limo, buy you a box lunch or whatever, some bento box or something. Like, this is a huge deal for people sometimes. So details, I don't know. I'm not saying that Russell Brand didn't do this stuff. I'm not saying that. I have no idea, but details don't mean shit. Amber Heard had a lot of details. Remember when we found out that some of those details from multiple events just kind of combined? And in fact, some of the pictures from two different events were actually the same picture. Remember that? Very detailed stuff. So here we go. And thus leave open the possibility that women are telling the truth. There's always a possibility that the women are telling the truth. They didn't leave open. There could be a non-detailed account. A woman could be like, oh, Russell Brand raped me. Like, that's it. She might be telling the truth. This is maddening. This reporting on all this. This pub is sealed off, shut down temporarily amid sex abuse scandal. It's not cancel culture, though. Remember that? Not cancel culture. Let's see, what else do we have? Troubling rush to judge Russell Brand guilty or not, with a stunning lack of skeptics. Okay, this is where I wanted to get to. Again, you can go look at the allegations for yourself. The one that I've seen that seems to be the most concerning legally, although past the statute of limitations, I believe, is that he may have removed his condom without consent during sex. Boys, don't do that. Do not do that. But then again, how do we know? Now, I know there's text messages where he seems to have confirmed that. Text messages, hard to always say what's being said. Don't know. I'm not going to judge. I'll let court decide. I don't have any investment in Russell Brand. I don't talk to him, don't know him, don't watch his content, have no personal interest. I'd love to talk to him. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like, so I don't ultimately care what happens with him. But that being said, like, I don't see someone destroyed over bullshit either. So, but you can go read them and make it up for yourself, or you know what I mean? Make up your own mind on it. But I'm not going to say, well, he's guilty or not guilty. I will treat him as not guilty until proven innocent, and I will treat allegations as allegations until I see something that pushes me over the edge. I'm not quite sure what that would be. It's getting harder and harder to find that line in 2023, especially after what, a decade now of Me Too? How do we gauge what will convince us in the age where those text messages could be snipped out of context, edited, whatever? Russell Brand could release other versions of the text that are edited. Like, how do we verify this? None of us can. If it doesn't go before a court, what are we to do? There's another huge super chat. Thank you so much for J.H. Schwalbach. So I want to deep dive into the reporters who started this shoot. I smell Fed, CIA, government actors. Timing is very strange about this. 6.5 mil subs on YouTube plus red pill equals enemy of the state. Libs love this man and they were listening to him. They're scared. That's the balancing act, isn't it? That's the idea. Who do you trust in the age of a dissident being disciplined? Brian Dunham says, Nick, look at the text messages. They are fake. Oh, they look altered. There's like weird font size differences within messages. They look clipped. I don't know. This is a problem. I didn't read all of them in full detail, but I did skim them and I looked at them, and just looking at them, I'm like, well, this sus. Very sus. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough today to do this with deep fake shit, with AI. And frankly, like, how do you have a bad edited text message now? Like, I feel like with my very limited Photoshop skills, can make a great fucking text message with a little effort that is completely fake. You don't even have to do anything. You just send a message to someone and they send a message back to you. Like, you have the conversation, you just change the name. You don't even have to fake it. You just put them in your phone that way and do it. So it's tough. It's a tough thing. But I'm of the opinion now, I can't abide canceling people, and I can't abide anything. You can certainly make decisions about them, right? Like, you could go, yeah, this Russell Brand guy's come back. Hey, my man was 31, apparently plowing a 16-year-old. I don't care if that's the age of consent. It's not my thing, man. Like, but also, it's legal. Is he still banging 16-year-olds? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know him. So it's like, what do you do on that shit? Is someone condemned forever for doing something that is not within my standard, but also not illegal? That's a tough question, right? Because for some people, we would say yes. And other people, we say no. And where's the line? How much time? How much change? And what is the trigger? And this is the ultimate point I wanted to get to here. Make sure your trigger is not their politics. Make sure that your barometer is not, do they align with me politically? because that's a bad barometer. People are fucked, man. Politicians, celebrities, they live in different worlds. They live different lives than you, than me. Hell, I live a different life than you. You can't judge people and say, well, their politics are the same as mine, or I agree with them on these issues, therefore X, Y, Z. You can't do that anymore. I don't know what barometer you use. You'll have to figure it out, but just try to make sure that's not the one. Look for evidence. Look for something that you can rely on to make your decisions. And, hopefully, ideally, eventually, all of these fucking sex assault allegations, these really serious claims that keep coming up, those are dealt with in the only place where we can effectively weigh evidence, and that's court. Lost Bullet says, yes, you can judge on politics. I disagree with you, Lost. I love you. Where you been? Where you been? How's school going, brother? I hope it's going well. No, you can't. You can't do it, though, because you're going to condemn people who are innocent, and you're going to defend people who are the nastiest fucking people on the planet. You're like, well, they agree with me. They're conservative or whatever. Don't do that. Don't do it. With that, we're going to wrap up the Russell Brand topic. The main thing I wanted is it's the politics thing. We're going to hit that a little bit more with Lauren Boobert in a second when we move over to Rumble. But I do want to go through the super chats that have come in on YouTube, so we get those taken care of before we move over, and we'll take a little bit of a break because I got to pee as we kick over to Rumble. But we'll do it in a second. Here we go. K to the Swiss. Sent a thumbs up. Thank you. Kyan Rennell says, Hobart definitely got paid by dude for the date. Damn. Me 04120. Oliver Anthony played for free on Broadway Street in Nashville the day after your live show, Nick. It was pretty solid. Glad I got to see it. Great. Cool. I'm glad. Nick Ricada's receding hairline says, hey, bud, just want to drop by and say hi and bye. This is good. It's looking pretty thin today. That's fun. It's always fun. It's probably because I just travel with Lady Rackets, which always makes me want to rip my hair out, even though I love her. Thermasius 1980 says, I heard the bartenders were real. Lovely. I think someone called one of the bartenders sugar tits. The bartenders, I don't know what my hair is even doing. My son had a soccer game, so I was outside today. So basically, I'm just looking for a noose at this point. Someone called one of the bartenders sugar tits, and I was like, oh, you beautiful bastard. They looked very unhappy. So that was funny to me, but who knows? I could be misreading. Carozola X says, stand up, not gonna lie, Nick. That's just straight masochism. Oh, I know. Darren Bennett, here's a joke, may not be too good. How is sex and snow the same? You never know how long it will last or how deep it will get. I mean, maybe you do. Let's see. Frederick Little, glad you and Lady Raggeds had a great trip. I can't believe next month it'll be 3 years since I became a member. God bless you and your content. Hey, thanks, Frederick Little. Tyrannus Cygnus, welcome to paralegal status. Oh shit, Cheesy Tarian says, but the removal of condoms is a Catholic family tradition. No, not wearing condoms at all is. Carson Depp says, removing a condom is forcible sexual assault, but sabotaging a condom to baby trap is financially rewarded with child support for 18 years. Yes. And I have conceptual problems with the idea of removing a condom being forcible sexual assault. Like it should be something, I think, but I don't think it's the same, right? Like it just doesn't seem the same. We categorize and classify sexual assault so diversely, or it's so diverse, but it's categorized and classified in the same areas. It's like these two things are not alike to me. They're both wrong, but they're not the same to me. So yeah. Long Reach Jones says, random question. Is there an offense or word related to rape in the same way as manslaughter is related to murder? Struggle snuggle. Jesus Davila gifted a membership. Thank you. Angel Australia says, F cancel culture. This makes me insanely angry. Mate, I hardly remember what I did last weekend. I don't at all. Drop Barracuda. Just to put it in perspective, 1.3 to 2.7 million per year from 6.6 million subscribers and 1.1 billion views is what Allegations has cost Russell Brand. Yeah, it's a huge amount of money. It's a huge amount of money. Roby McCann. Roby, welcome to Paralegal. E. Fell says people need to realize the human brain isn't some logic machine. It's more of a spaghetti avalanche, instinct, biology, and feelings mixed together. Correct. And it has odd limitations that it compensates for by removing information and synergizing information. So, Cheesetarian says Russell Brand is former Hollywood. I'm sure he was island hopping. Oh shit. JD, 17 months of paralegal. Thank you. Barb Rogers, Miss Solar Terror sent a sticker. Thank you. JD says fake allegations spit in the face of true survivors. I agree. Drop Barracuda. What happens if a prosthetic foreskin breaks? Nobody realizes it until after. Also, how about situations when women lie about taking birth control? It's the same thing, isn't it? And this is my problem with the forcible removal of a condom, right? Like, the issue is not that penetrative sex is occurring without consent. Presumably, if the removal of the condom is the issue, then penetrative sex is already happening. So then it becomes the impregnation. Well, there are similar things that happen that aren't at all sexual assault. So why not? Why not? Ellie Fan says, please sing What is Love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. That song. Okay, there we go. That is the YouTube super chat record here. So thank you all for that. We're going to go over to Rumble exclusively. And then I'm going to hit the bathroom right after that. And then we'll be right back. We'll get into Boobert and Ballard. Ballard losing a jet, Nashville near the end. And we'll do everything else. We'll do everything else because there's shit every day. It'll be great. Chandler Remington says, reminding Nick to please send me your thesis. Wait, the Mean Girls one or the Fourth Amendment one? Just Chandler, DM me. Mean Girls or Fourth Amendment or both. And I'll find them for you. I think it was Mean Girls. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Guys, the full stream will continue over on Rumble. Make sure you hit that. The link is in the description. It is also in the pinned comment up top. You can also find it on Twitter or on my locals. We'll see you there in just a little bit. Peace. Peace.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen,